high school, I had a necklace with my football number on it. I had the L with the devil face on it. Signatures made them.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
You still have it?
That we had to pay for? That's
part of-
absurd.
That's part of the,
I made some raised
Okay.
flower beds for my wife.
All right, call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Public comment related to agenda items? Nope. All right, presentation of need for the 2025 proposed projects and potential financing and tax impacts of projects. Dana?
Good evening, board members here. Second meeting here for our prelim determination. And I will start here and then we will hand off to, I'll start with the need portion of the presentation and then we'll go into the potential financing for this. So right now, we're gonna take a look at our how we got here, which is really a planning stage that we had. So we've been working on a facility plan here in our school district for many, many years, dating back to when Dr. Kleefish was here. And in 2015, we actually formalized the plan with our partners, our Skillman partners, and created a real formalized plan for the next 15 to 20 years of all the projects that we needed, short-term and long-term in here. Those projects ranged from different items that were safety related to general maintenance related here, from parking lots to roofs to HVAC and things that are not so glamorous to add-ons in the building. So we've been working off of that plan for all of our bond issuances leading up to this year. And we had many other projects that were scheduled far out there for our long-term debt issuance here. And things changed this year through legislation with our effective July 1st, Senate Enrolled Act 1 changed the procedure for us to issue future debt. So we need to take a look at those projects and see what ones we can get going and get on our docket and get some issuance and some plannings here for those items that we had been planning for all along. The public hearing today will allow our public to hear and comment on the proposed projects and the potential financing under the current law. And if we don't authorize this issuance for these projects by July 1st, the district will be in jeopardy of not being able to move forward with issuing any bonds in the future to cover some of these projects. So I'd like to go over the projects now so that you can see. One of the things that you need to understand is that the only means for us to do any kind of capital improvements here is our bonding capacity. We can save over to rainy day any of our unused levy, but we are really maxing out the levy with our needs that we have within the district here as much as we can. We've gone through a lot of attrition and cutting back since the referendum didn't pass, and so this way we can put some money away from our unused levy, but it really doesn't cover the need for these projects that could be in the $3, $4, $5 million projects here. So this is really our only means to actually get any kind of long-term capital project stuff done. So on the docket for this issuance, we've got some roof maintenance and paving that were in the facility plan that we were hoping to accomplish in future years. New roofs are slated for Three Creeks, Oak Hill, and the middle school, some sections of the middle school there and the middle school. Oak Hill and Three Creeks roofs have had some repairs throughout the years, but they are original to 1995. We did some extensive valley work over at Oak Hill to address some drainage issues that we had and some other problems there. And being that both buildings, Oak Hill and Three Creeks, have the same footprint and were opened in the same year, we're seeing similar things over at Three Creeks. We could do the valley work there, or we could do a re-roof. Doing valley work on a roof that's from 1995, you're going to have to re-roof that soon anyway, so we're looking at pushing that a little bit. Our middle school is original to the opening of 2010, so that one's in the future a little bit, but again, we need to plan for some work over there. We have some roof repair budget here slated for the high school. We did the major sections of most of our roof here, but there are some connecting sections that we need to do to finish this project here at the high school. So we haven't done all the phases here. We've done the major sections, but not the minor connecting ones here. Paving throughout the district. We have paving that would include our Oak Hill parent drop-off section. So this is the area that they come up from our Oakley property all the way up there. We haven't addressed any of that kind of paving. We've done some minor maintenance on it, but it is starting to show some failure and it needs some further repairs on that one. We've done pothole repairs in there in 2017 and 19 and some maintenance stuff on a yearly basis, but we definitely need to address that. The Three Creeks secondary parking lot is also another parking lot that we haven't touched. We did the main parking lot there in 2018, but not the secondary parking lot off to the side. And then of course, just general maintenance on our parking lots. The next section of stuff that we are including in this bond issuance is bus replacement, equipment, and technology. Bus replacement, we have a fleet of 50 buses, and we do 5 buses a year pretty much on the replacement plan. We've been replacing them anywhere between 10 to 12 years, replacing them a little early because we are a high maintenance or high mileage district with all our miles we have to cover. So we do rotate them out when they get into high mileage years, but having them sit as a spare bus does cause problems too. It's just they're not they just don't sit there and wait to be turned on, that we've got problems with them there too. So we're looking at, with the new restrictions that we have with property tax coming in, maybe extending the life of the bus as much as we can, trying to go to the 12 to 14 years. You'd be subject to inspections a year. But by putting them into this bond issuance and actually scheduling about 5 buses a year, continuing our bus replacement plan as is, we will be able to keep on that schedule of replacing them right around the 12 years. We might push it a little bit farther out there. Technology replenishment plan here is going to include device replenishment, camera and door access for the remaining renovation projects, which would include our old pool area that we'll be decommissioning, natatorium, our new natatorium, some cameras there, and new athletic complex needs that we have that were included in the grant that we had or included in the current project. Now that we're living the space, we're starting to realize we need a camera here, a camera there kind of thing. Network and wireless connectivity replacement plan, that's on the docket too. That's been on our plan for a while. A PLTW computer lab and computer science labs. Those are things that are included in here. We have maintenance equipment as well, including many of our vehicles that we have. So many of which here range from, we've got vehicles, we have 3 box trucks that are 2010s. And then we've got the two Chevy Silverados that are 2011s. They're right around 2010, 2011, getting up in the mileage as well. Our most recent, newest vehicles that we have that our maintenance department uses are 2 Chevy Silverados 3500 HDs, 2016s on those. So those are just part of the replacement plan. Not all of those will be replaced within this, but just so that you have an idea of aging equipment that we've got and how many years we've got on these. Floor scrubbers, burnishers, backpack vacs, all those kind of things. We've got a list of replacement that we were looking at. And then we have other equipment for renovated areas. We included them in some of our projects, but like when we open up the natatorium, we're gonna need some furniture and equipment and stuff like that. Also included in this proposed issuance is the decommissioning of the pool that we've got current, our old pool, for student programs, which our new natatorium will be fully commissioned by August 2026, and we have to do something with the old pool. So we need to fill that in, decommission the pumping station and the pump pit, we're gonna repurpose it here for our PE and gymnastics and cheer of the field house. So all of that kind of stuff, we're gonna work on that. The renovation will also include LED lighting and HVAC in there, converting it from a pool facility into a totally separate facility. Will need some tweaking of those things. Back in 2017, we removed the soffit around the pool because it was caving in. We've had chronic issues with the pump station and everything, and that's why we're building a new natatorium. But the humidity in there has been awful, and it's really caused some problems to the area there. So we're going to address that when we renovate this and turn it into student use for programs there. And then the final thing that is a potential here is an opportunity to improve district operations and efficiency here. Part of the plan here was to remove our warehouse that was built in 1976. We have some cracks in the inside in the interior and the concrete work there. It serves its purpose, but the efficiency, it's not in the right place for town for us to use, and we could actually move that over to the transportation center for shared utilities. It is a separate unit that has separate utilities. It's not a major energy hog, but it is another separate building that we have to maintain. So if we were to move that over to our transportation center, we could get it off the grid and onto our solar where we wouldn't have an electric bill for there. And we could also share services and staff. Maybe combine and actually reduce staff because maintenance building could work with transportation and do some of the small minor work that we have on our buses. It will also allow for efficiency and snow removal at our transportation center to get them, all our trucks will be stored there, they'll be able to clear right there, which is the essential part of the school day to get those buses rolling right away. That would help as well. And it would also include the removal of the current facility and adjust that parking there to improve the congested areas for the traffic flow of Three Creeks Elementary. And now we would move over to the potential financing and tax impacts of this. Total is around 19 million here is what we're looking at, 19 million. And I will switch over to the next presentation. So I will bring up here, this will be Luke Brueggemann from Stiefel, who will go over the potential financing of the project.
All right, good evening. Luke Brueggemann with Stiefel. This presentation should look pretty familiar as it's the exact same one that you saw the other day. So if you skip to the first slide here, the first thing we always start with is just what are your current debt obligations, which you can see here. We've outlined them in multiple different colors. From 25 to 26, there's a little bit of a drop. That's going to be filled in by the 25 GO bonds that we'll show here in a bit. But there are some drop-off in payments allowing for this project to fit within the school corporation's current debt service levy. And if you flip to the next page, this is the current debt service levy. This is really essentially just the ask that you ask your taxpayers for on an annual basis to pay your debt service fund. So again, you'll see there's a little bit of a drop-off in 26 and kind of going out there. If you flip to the next slide, this is in blue is the 25 general obligation bonds. As you'll recall, in 2024, we authorized $5 million for general obligation bonds. We sold 2.5 last fall. We're selling the remaining 2.5 million later this month or next month. That's highlighted in blue there, but really leaving you capacity, which is in green for this $19 million project, up to $19 million project, I should say. To issue it in one or more series. And as we talked about last night, you can issue up to this maximum amount. You don't have to issue all of it at once. This can be issued in multiple series, kind of like we did with the general obligation bond. So you're issuing bonds as you see fit. So if it ends up being 4 or 5 different issuances or 1 or 2, that's completely up to you. As you work through these projects and the timing, the authorization doesn't go away, so that it's truly up to you on when you need the funds and when you want to start tackling some of these projects. The last slide here is the legal parameters, so there will be resolutions set forth in front of you tonight, and these numbers will be in there. Again, this is the same information that we went over last night. The maximum par amount of the bonds of 19 million, cost of issuance of 500,000. That's going to fluctuate with how many issuances you have, but the remaining hard and soft project costs of 18.5 million. Estimated interest rates there. Again, if we're selling bonds today, you're at about 4 1/4. We have a range there because this is really just the initial part of the legal process. The maximum term of the bonds is 20 years per series. We can go shorter than that, but we cannot go any longer than that per Indiana statute. So the estimated interest cost there, that's based on a 5% interest rate on that previous chart. Again, that's going to fluctuate a little bit as depending on the timing of the issuance. The maximum annual payment, that's the maximum payment that you can make on this authorization in any given year. You're not going to make $7 million every single year. Just in any given year, that's the maximum that you can make. Most importantly is this project is not going to increase the burden for taxpayers on an annual basis, and that's highlighted there in that last row. You'll see a couple other ratios in the resolutions tonight. So the first one's your max payments as a percentage of your net assessed value, that's 0.85%. And then direct and overlapping debt as percentage of your net assessed value. That's just factoring in all the other municipalities' property tax debt as well that a Tri-Creek taxpayer would pay, and that's where you get that 11% number. So that's all I have. Again, those numbers will be in the resolutions that you have tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions from the administration or board.
Questions?
You answered my questions
First time
yesterday.
hearing it today, so we heard the same one yesterday.
I kind of heard this.
Okay. Thank you. Come on up.
The resolutions before you this evening have 3 different actions happening. The first is called the 1028 resolution. It's a project resolution that describes what the anticipated project will be and what the overall cost and where you intend to pay for those costs, which through this will be the debt service fund. The next one is a preliminary determination. That's the one that sets out all these terms such that Luke just showed you. And again, sets what are the estimates and parameters that we're going to have to work with in the future. The last one is the reimbursement resolution. That's something we do on every single financing. It's required by the IRS that whenever you're going to do a tax-exempt bond issue, if you want to use any of the proceeds to reimburse yourself for expenses that Dana may incur prior to the actual issuance of the bonds, we have to have this resolution in place. So these three resolutions are very straightforward. It's what gets the process started. The one comment I want to also come back with Luke on is that the maximum payment that we have on there is $7 million. Again, does not mean that you'll be making a $7 million payment for 20 years. That would be a little crazy to have $140 million of payments on a $19 million borrowing. But it allows in the structuring to keep your debt service levy balanced, gives that flexibility to put that in there in years when other debt drops off. So, Madam President, it would be my recommendation that you adopt all three of these resolutions after you give the public a chance to talk or ask questions.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so now is the opportunity, we're gonna open the opportunity for public hearing and input. Don't believe that there is anybody interested, so we'll go ahead and close that opportunity. As a board, we're gonna make a motion to do Resolution 2025-03, 1020 resolution, Resolution 2025-04, a preliminary determination resolution, and Resolution 2025-05, a resolution to reimburse expenditures, all under one motion. So can I get a motion and a second?
I'll make a motion to approve the three resolutions.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on, public comment not related to agenda items. Again, don't believe we're gonna have any of that. So questions or comments from the board?
I would just say I know this takes a lot of work in planning and appreciate the hard work everybody's put in to kind of help assure the future success of the school district.
And this process also reassures our good fortune in the future should something arise that we weren't prepared for because of the changing legislation, so.
Yes, it cuts regulation.
Thank you.
Circumvents it.
Thank you guys for those comments. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.